Hello, Hofstra fans, and welcome to the WB Mason Coach Report with head men's basketball coach Mike Farrelly. Mike, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Stephen.
Well, let's get right into it. Your team is 7-6 overall. You evened your CA mark at 3-3 with a weekend split at Delaware. What did you see from your team against the Blue Hens?
Certainly the energy that we need to be playing with in the second of those two games. And we're limited with numbers and guys being banged up and everything like that. So it's a little bit challenging to do that. But what we were able to change between Friday and Sunday was just our approach, our energy level, our effort throughout the course of the game. And obviously they made it interesting and late in the game and, made some shots, and we struggled to score a little bit down the stretch, but we did enough. And obviously with the last great defensive stand to close out the game. So definitely very happy with that, but certainly it's not just a one-time thing. It's something that we have to bring to practice every day, so it becomes habits when we come to the game time. It's not just about playing hard in the games. It's something that you have to do all the time.
Your team's hit the injury bug a little bit, not unlike anybody else, but you guys are getting hit pretty hard. But you had a big week from guys on the court, from Jalen Ray, Caleb Burgess. Can you talk about what those two did this week to kind of help you alleviate your injury concerns on others?
Yeah, Jalen's going to be that leader for us and get those big buckets when we need them. Whether it's Friday in that game, kind of keeping us alive when we didn't really have a whole lot of scoring around him, or on Sunday when he made a couple of those key baskets down the stretch to give us the points that we needed to get it done. And Caleb was a different player from Friday to Sunday, and he is very much, and I said this in the post game the other day, very much. His game is based on his energy. When he's playing with a lot of energy and playing really hard, he's one of the best point guards in the league. When he's not playing that hard, and I've had this conversation with him, he's average at best. So he needs to make sure he's bringing that all the time, offensively and defensively, because we see what he can be when he's engaged and playing the right way. And certainly he was fantastic. We try to take advantage of more things of Delaware switching some actions against us in the second game and let Caleb kind of exploit those. And he did a great job, especially to start the game, to do that.
And speaking of Jalen, one thing I've noticed is he seems to be taking a lot more mid-range jumpers where he's deadly from. Have you noticed him doing that a little more? Have you guys made a concerted effort kind of, because he's so good from that area?
He really is. And, it's just hard because obviously and we preach about it in the way college basketball is going, and basketball just in general, is that you want to get open threes, you want to get layups. Those are the most effective and most efficient shots in the game. But when you're getting guarded really hard and really closely, and the number one bullet on everybody's scouting report, you can't always get those types of shots. And we've seen that now. That's what some of the shots that Justin Ray Foreman was forced to take, some of the shots that DeJour Bowie was forced to take, and now Jalen's just next up in line with those. And we have a nice little package where we feel like Jalen can get to some of his spots and make some of those shots. But when it comes down to when you're getting guarded really closely, you're going to take some of those tough contested twos, and thankfully Jalen is very, very good at them.
Obviously you've touched on the energy being a huge key, but what really specifically do you think played a role in your hot start against Delaware on Sunday?
Stephen, we watched the tape on whatever day that was in between games on Saturday. We came back and watched it. It's hard to, Saturday, Sunday games, the day in between with this weekend, all that stuff. It's hard to remember, but we watched the entire tape. We talked about some things as a staff after the game. We talked about things as a team after the game, after that film session, on how we need to behave and how we need to appreciate the opportunities to be out there on the court. You never know when it's going to be your last opportunity, and one of those things I think it's hard as a college basketball player to have the perspective on is valuing every time that you're out there. You talk to a guy that just graduated, or you talk to a senior who only has a few games left, and they start to cherish those opportunities. But, the sooner you get to cherish and appreciate those opportunities, the better off you'll be. And we certainly cherish that opportunity and the energy, and Caleb was a big part of it. Obviously everybody, but Kayvon Kramer's energy to start that first 6-7 minutes of that game were as good as we've ever seen here in our last 8 years.
And speaking of energy, and this is kind of a different angle to this question, but how weird has it been now that you guys are 13 games in, the no crowd aspect, and not so much like how your team's playing through it and all, but like how different is it? Can you kind of explain it to a fan?
Yeah, it's really different. It's it's amazing. And when you're searching for answers and I'm Googling articles and you hear John Calipari talking about it, and hear about Michigan and Juwan Howard talking about creating your own energy and not relying on the fans and bringing that from a game to game basis. So it's really strange in there. It's like a scrimmage. You have 2 scrimmages in there, but to have these key conference games with no fans, it's such a unique thing. And you really do have to create your own energy. And it starts with, the coaching staff, and then probably the bench after that. And then, helping the guys on the court to maintain that energy the whole time. Delaware's piping in like fake crowd noise in the back, and it's just weird. It's just like it's such an unusual environment. So it's hard to describe, but it's hard because there's nothing to feed off of when you're home. There's no, crowd to go against. We've thrived on the road in the past, going against some tough crowds. You don't have that. You don't have the us against the world mentality because, there's only 40 people in the gym. So certainly very, very different. But I think it does come back to what can you create from within your team and bringing that energy, because, there's nothing external to really rely on or to go against.
Well, and you'll return home this weekend to have your home crowd in the arena. You host Towson this weekend. Towson's going from being well rested because they were on a COVID break to playing a lot of games in a short amount of time. They're playing on Monday and Tuesday. What do you look at? What do you look for from Towson this weekend?
Yeah, well, they want to get as many games in as possible. They haven't met the 13 yet that are required to play in the NCAA tournament, and we all just want to play a lot of games, as many games as we can in a crazy year like this. So they're trying to make those up in a hurry and get into game shape and get game reps together. They haven't really had their full team together since probably Thanksgiving, based on some injuries, but seemingly they're back whole right now. So obviously a well-coached team, a hard-playing team. We know what this game means from a physicality and a rebounding standpoint. We played them very well down there last year. DeJour had a great game, and then call it what it was. They beat us up here last year, 24 offensive rebounds, and did what Towson can do. Now, in addition to that, they have some really skilled and talented players. Zane Martin is back from them, who was all conference for them a few years ago. As good of a guard as there is in this league. Nick Timberlake is a really, really underrated wing player who can score, drive it, shoot it, really versatile. They bring Jason Gibson off the bench as a point guard who gives them a different look, really skilled. So they have some really, really good skilled players in addition to bringing that toughness and that physicality that they'll always bring. So certainly a good challenge for us.
I think I know the answer to this question, but we'll end with this one. What's the keys to victory this weekend against Towson?
Yeah, it's certainly you always need a rebound. You have to limit them to one shot. That's just their identity of their program. So certainly making sure that you're doing that, and I think our guys can appreciate that a little bit more coming off of what they did to us last year. But in addition, they do have a lot of skill. Those couple guys in the perimeter. I had it last year with Fobbs and Beatrand. Now it's kind of different guys now with that Timberlake stepped up and Zane Martin is back, but have some really good skilled players. So how do you make their lives difficult? Make them take tougher shots because, they're going to rely upon them for a lot of their offense. So making their lives difficult in addition to finishing with one stop. And then how do you, score offensively, against what they do? Very sound, very aggressive defensive team as well. So, scoring will certainly be a challenge, and making sure that we're getting good, high quality shots.
Mike, thank you for joining us today, and we wish you good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Stephen.
And Hofstra fans, thank you for joining us in the W. Mason Coach Report with head men's basketball coach Mike Farrelly.